Okay, welcome. We are diving straight in today, doing a deep exploration crafted specifically for you based on this really interesting set of sources you've shared. We've got articles, notes, quite a bit here.
That's right. Yeah, consider us your guides sort of for this journey. Our goal really is just to help you navigate all this stuff, pull out what's most important.
And maybe some of those surprising facts that make you go, huh.
Exactly. Make you think a bit.
And the main theme, I mean, it's pretty clear from these sources, is how AI is just fundamentally reshaping, well, everything digital. Copyright, how we use the web.
Even the business models for publishers, creators, you name it, is huge.
Yeah, it's not just talk anymore, is it? We're seeing it in, like, actual court cases, new kinds of software popping up.
And big shifts for places we've relied on for ages. So yeah, we'll dig into specifics from your sources, like those big lawsuits over AI training data
Oh, yeah.
and these completely new web tools built around AI.
Right. And that critical impact AI is having on content creators, from big news outlets right down to platforms like Wikipedia.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's jump in. Let's try and uncover what's really going on beneath the headlines here.
So one of the hottest topics in these sources is definitely the legal fight over AI training data. I mean, you can't really discuss this without looking at what Disney and Universal are doing right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
So the sources talk about this lawsuit, California, right? Big studios suing Midjourney. What's the main complaint?
Well, the core claim, basically, is that Midjourney trained its AI models, the ones making and editing images, using Disney and Universal's copyrighted characters and content, and critically, without asking permission.
Right, no license.
No license.
Yeah.
And the sources say this wasn't out of the blue either. Apparently, the studios had asked Midjourney before to stop using their stuff, and, well, they were ignored, sounds like, and they came with receipts, so to speak.
Yeah.
The lawsuit apparently has, like, tons of specific images Midjourney generated. Oh, yeah, dozens. Images that look, I mean, undeniably like Homer Simpson or, Darth Vader. Very clear examples.
Wow.
So it's not just abstract. It's about the AI spitting out things that directly step on their valuable IP. They're asking for money, obviously, and crucially, a court order to stop Midjourney doing this. It really forces the issue.
Yeah, it's fascinating because it clashes so directly with what we often hear from, say, big AI labs like OpenAI, right?
Yeah.
Their argument has often been that training on public data, even copyrighted stuff, should be okay.
Kind of a fair use type argument, yeah. Or something similar. But they shouldn't need specific permission or have to pay for everything they scrape.
But this lawsuit is a direct challenge to that whole approach.
Exactly. And what's interesting, the sources hint that while these studios might be playing with generative AI themselves internally, it's probably in a much more controlled way, not the sort of mass-scale data hoovering that some of the big AI model developers have done. So this lawsuit is really a major content creator pushing back hard against that wider tech industry practice.
Okay, so while that fight happens in court, how AI learns, we're also seeing this other huge shift, how AI changes the tools we actually use. Which brings us to these AI-first browsers mentioned in your notes.
Yeah, the browser company, people might know them from the Arc browser.
Yeah.
They've launched a beta for something new called Daya. And it sounds like a pretty fundamental rethink of, well, the browser.
And the motivation, according to the sources, was pretty stark. They felt traditional browsers were facing an existential crisis. Is that the term?
That's what they said, yeah. Basically, seeing people spend more time chatting directly with AI, like ChatGPT, instead of clicking around the web the old way.
And they felt their own browser arc wasn't really built to capture that shift, not at scale anyway.
Right, so instead of just bolting AI features onto an old design, they started fresh with Daya, designed it around the AI interaction from the ground up.
Okay.
The thinking is, look, if you're already using AI to search or summarize, why not put it right in the browser workflow? Make it seamless. Maybe you don't need to jump between tabs and apps so much.
So it's built on Chromium. Looks kind of familiar maybe, but the URL bar,
Yeah.
that's where it gets weird, right? It's not just for web addresses.
Exactly. It's also your main way to talk to this built-in AI chatbot. You can type a search, fine, but you can also just ask it questions.
Asking to summarize files you upload, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and switch easily between chat answers and normal web results. But here's the kicker. You can ask the browser AI questions about all the tabs you have open.
Whoa, okay. About all the open tabs.
Yep. And it can apparently draft text or summarize based on the combined info in those tabs.
That's really different from how browsers work now. And what about this history feature? Opt-in. Using 7 days of browsing history for context. That seems significant.
It is. Definitely raises questions, but it shows how deeply they're integrating the AI. They also have these skills custom code snippets for shortcuts. Think like Siri shortcuts, maybe?
Huh,
But
okay.
for your browser environment, like set up a specific layout for reading, interact with the AI in custom ways.
Now, the sources do point out, fairly, that putting chatbots in browsers isn't totally new. Opera Neon did stuff. Google's adding AI to Chrome.
True, true. But the insight with Dia seems to be that the whole design revolves around the AI chat as the main way you interact. It's not just another feature bolted on. It's kind of the core.
Interesting. And it's invite only for now, or for existing ARC members.
Yeah. Suggests it's still maybe a bit experimental, aimed at a specific crowd, perhaps not quite mass market yet.
Okay. And speaking of, accessing information online,
Mhm.
the sources also really hammer home the challenges AI is creating for, let's say, traditional content platforms, publishers. We see this with Wikipedia and the news industry.
Yeah, let's start with Wikipedia. So your sources report they actually paused an experiment with AI-generated summaries.
Right, this was a limited pilot. Certain users, browser extension, opt-in.
Exactly. These little summaries appear to the top of articles, clearly labeled unverified. You had to click to see them. But the volunteer editors, they weren't happy.
Why not? What was the big concern?
Well, fundamentally, it was about credibility. Wikipedia's whole thing is trust, right? And AI models, we know, can sometimes just make stuff up hallucinations. So the editors felt that even with a warning label, putting potentially wrong AI summaries right there on the page could really damage that hard-earned trust. Other places trying similar things, like Bloomberg apparently, also hit accuracy problems.
Yeah, that makes sense. It highlights that tension, doesn't it? Between, like, the speed or accessibility AI could offer versus the absolute need for accuracy, especially for something like Wikipedia that relies on human curation.
Definitely. They paused the pilot, but the sources say Wikipedia is still looking at other ways AI might help, maybe with accessibility features or something.
Okay. But then the impact on news publishers.
Mhm.
That sounds, according to the Wall Street Journal report and your sources, much more immediate, maybe even existential.
Yeah, it seems quite threatening. The basic problem is Google's AI overviews, other chatbots. They're just killing traffic to news websites.
Because they answer the question directly.
Right. Traffic is the lifeblood, isn't it?
Yep.
For ads, for subscriptions, it pays for the journalism. But if the AI scrapes the info from a news article and just gives you the answer,
You never click the link. The publisher gets nothing.
precisely, no click, no traffic, no revenue from that interaction. And the fear mentioned in the sources is that Google's more conversational AI mode might be even worse because it seems to have even fewer links out.
Is there actual data on this traffic drop?
Yes, the WSJ report cites similar web data.
Yeah.
For the New York Times, for example, the share of its desktop and mobile traffic from organic search. So Google searches basically fell from 44% back in April 2022 down to just 36.5% by April 2025.
Wow, that's a big chunk of their audience access gone in just 3 years.
It's a significant drop. Now, Google apparently claims AI overviews actually increase search traffic overall.
But maybe not for the publishers, or not enough to make up for those lost direct clicks.
That seems to be the concern, yeah. The benefit might not be trickling down in the same way.
So publishers are facing this pretty scary drop in their main traffic source. How are they adapting? What are they trying?
Well, they're scrambling. The sources mention outlets like The Atlantic, The Washington Post. They know they need a fundamental shift. Some are turning to making deals directly with the AI companies.
Licensing their content.
Exactly. Like the New York Times signed a deal with Amazon recently. Lets Amazon use their editorial content to train its AI.
Interesting.
The Atlantic and others are working with OpenAI on similar deals. And there's this AI startup, Perplexity, reportedly trying out a revenue-sharing model.
How would that work?
The idea is if Perplexity's chatbot uses a publisher's content in an answer, they'd split any ad revenue generated around that answer with the publisher.
Okay, so these are basically attempts to get paid for the value of their content, even if users aren't visiting their websites directly anymore. A totally different model.
It's a necessary pivot, it seems.
Yeah.
If AI is going to use the content anyway, find a new way to get compensated.
So when we kind of step back and look at everything we've just talked through from your sources, I mean, the legal fights over training data.
Like the Disney and Universal suit against Midjourney, specifically calling out things like Homer Simpson or Darth Vader images.
Right, challenging the input side. Then you've got these totally new AI native tools changing how we access information.
Like the Dia browser, baking that chatbot right into the URL bar querying open tabs using history.
Hmm.
Although, sure, other browsers are adding AI features too.
And then the, frankly, critical impact on the people and platforms creating the content in the first place.
Yeah, from Wikipedia pausing its AI summaries because editors were worried about accuracy.
To that really concrete data showing news sites like the New York Times losing a big slice of search traffic, forcing them into these new deals with Amazon, OpenAI, or exploring revenue sharing like Perplexity.
It all paints a picture, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
not separate things. AI is fundamentally changing how information gets made, how we find it, and crucially, who makes money from it all.
A digital world really in flux. So considering these legal challenges over data, the way these new AI tools like Dia are developing, and the economic shifts facing publishers that these sources lay out, here's maybe a final thought for you to chew on. How might your own personal experience of finding information online and maybe even trusting it, how different could that look in just the next few years?
That's a big question,
Yeah.
and definitely one these developments force us all to think about. Worth keeping an eye on these shifts, for sure.